we have to resolve the given rational fraction into its constituent partial fraction. Let's begin. So here we have our rational fraction, which is given by 1 over x cubed. So x cubed means it has a factor x that's repeating 3 times, followed by x minus 1. So that means we can split it into 4 partial fractions, with the first being a over x, the second one being b over x squared, the third one being c over x cubed, and the fourth one will be d over x minus 1. So let's label this as equation number 1, and the goal is to find out the value of these 4 constants. So what we can do here, we can use a method known as the cover-up method to find out the value of the constant c and d. So let's use the cover-up method. So using the cover-up method, we can find out the value of c. All we have to do is take the original rational fraction and cover up the factor x cubed. So we're left with 1 over x minus 1. So here what we have done, we have covered up x cubed. So that means if we consider x cubed and equate it to 0, then this is going to give us a value of x, which will be 0. So that means our value of c will be equals to negative 1. Then we can also find out the value of d using the cover-up method. We consider the original rational fraction. Here we are going to cover up x minus 1. So that means we have 1 over x cubed. What we have done here, we have covered up the value x minus 1. So if we equate it to 0 and solve for x, so x value will be equals to positive 1. So substituting x with 1, d value comes out to be 1. So we have c negative 1 and d is positive 1. We're still left with the values a and b. We cannot find out their values using the cover-up method, because that would mean we'll have a division by 0. In order to find out the value of a and b, we go back to equation number 1 and multiply throughout with x cubed times x minus 1. So that means on the left hand side we have 1. On the right hand side we have x squared times x minus 1 multiplied to a. This is going to be the first term, followed by x multiplied to x minus 1 times b. That's the second term. The third term will be x minus 1 times c, and the fourth term will be x cubed times d. Now what we'll do, let's call this equation number 1. Now we have to find out the value of a and b. For that, we'll have to consider a few values of x, that because this equation is clearly an identity in x. Let's choose 2 values of x. Let's say the first value of x as x equals to 2. We have x equals to 2, and we will use c and d such that equation 2 will now become 2a plus b equals to negative 3. Let's call it equation number 3. Then we're going to consider another value of x. So let's say if we take x equals to 3, we have to make sure that whenever we're taking some values of x, we will not consider the values which we have already considered. So when we take x equals to 3 and substitute c and d with the respective values, this gives us 3a plus b equals to negative 4. So this is going to be our fourth equation. We can solve equation 3 and 4 to obtain the values of a and b. So a comes out to be negative 1, b comes out to be negative 1 as well. So c will be negative 1, which I've already found out, and d is positive 1. And now that we have the value of a, b, c and d, we can substitute it back in equation number 1 to obtain our final result. So let's do that. Thus, our rational fraction 1 over x cubed multiplied to x minus 1, so this can be broken down as there's 4 partial fractions. We'll start with a positive value, so we'll start with d. So we have 1 over x minus 1. Then we have a over x, which is negative 1 over x. Then we have b over x squared, which will be negative 1 over x squared. And we have the value of c, and this will be negative 1 over x cubed. So this is the final answer. We have successfully resolved our given rational fraction into 4 partial fractions.